My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of Tales from the Crypt Season 2. And this video might have some spoilers, so there's your warning. But this show is so frustrating because there'll be a really good episode, but then the next one will be shit. Then there'll be a good episode, then the next one is shit. And it's just rinse and repeat that formula throughout the entire season, and it's just such a piss off because I want to love this show. I love the types of stories it's trying to tell. I love practical effects. I love horror. I love dark comedy. There is just so much here I love, and yet I'm very mixed on the show as a whole. But the one consistent thing is John Casel is always great as the Crypt Keeper, and I love his little puns. But anyways, I'm going to be talking about each episode from worst to best. And the worst one is, I feel like this might be a hot take based on the IMDb ratings, but it's the final episode of the season, The Secret. Now, I was intrigued for the first 90% of this episode because I wanted to know what was going on, but then the reveal that the parents are vampires and the kid's a werewolf, it fucking sucked. Like, I actually thought it was the most retarded decision, the direction they could have gone in, and it ruined the entire episode, and I really hated it. The second worst episode is Four-Sided Triangle, and this one is very frustrating because it's directed by Tom Holland, who directed Fright Night, Child's Play, Thinner, and here he's just, I don't know what happened here. It's just this story involving a scarecrow, and I just found it to be so incredibly bland and forgettable, and there's just nothing here that I liked. The third worst episode is Lower Birth, and this episode focuses on a two-faced man and this mummy, and it's really just the origin story for the Crypt Keeper, and I just didn't need this. It answered a question I never had, and I just found the whole thing to be very ineffective as a whole, and I found it to be really bland. The fourth worst episode is Judy, You're Not Yourself Today. And this might actually be the most frustrating episode because I like it in movies and shows where there's some sort of jewelry that has a hidden power, and I love body swap stories. So I thought I was going to love this one, but then it just kept going, and it kept going, and it kept going, and it kept going, and it didn't really seem to know what direction it wanted to go in. It didn't know how it wanted to end, and by the end, I just found it to be a disaster. Like, this episode is so messy despite its high potential. The fifth worst episode is The Thing from the Grave, and I just watched it and I pretty much already forgot about it. It's got the model and the girl comes back, and I don't know, it just felt like a generic Tales from the Crypt episode. Nothing to really like or too much here. The seventh worst episode is Coleman's Calamity, and this episode also frustrated me because I do like the idea of this guy and his drawings come to life, and I like the love story that's being told, but I just thought the ending was so dumb. Like I was kind of invested, but as soon as that thing came out, I'm like, you lost me. This just got really, really stupid, and now I don't really care for this one as a whole. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th worst one is The Sacrifice, and this one, it had a decent premise. I just thought the execution was pretty bad. yeah, I don't know. It didn't really do all too much for me. I didn't really like the acting, and it's pretty forgettable, but it could have been good. And then the next one is Cutting Cards. And this one has these two men just playing a game of Russian roulette, and things get crazier and crazier, and it's a really funny premise. I just didn't find it to be funny in execution. Like, there were some good ideas here, but it just felt off to me. So, it came close to being one that I liked, just didn't succeed. And then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, anyways, the next one is Mute Witness to Murder. And I do love the story being told here. I really do. Like, in some ways, it reminds me of the movie One and Misery and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And, I know, there really is a great story here, but it should have been a feature-length movie. At 30 minutes, it feels too rushed and too sloppily done, and the performances weren't quite there either. So, yeah, this one's a tad bit frustrating because I do like so much of what's going on. I just wish I liked it more as a whole. But now, from this point on, I like the rest. So, the 9th best one is Dead Right. And this is the very first episode of the season, and it's just this cool irony kind of story. You know, like, you kind of have a sense of what direction it's going to go in, but when you get to the end, it's still satisfying, it's still well done. It does feel a little bland, it could have been done better, but it's still a perfectly fine episode. The 8th best episode is the 2nd episode of this season, and I bring that up just because I find this to have lots of similarities with the first episode, because there's just a sense of cruel irony. But anyways, this episode is called The Switch, and this episode's actually directed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's about this guy who's trying to create the perfect body for himself to impress this girl. And yes, you know what direction it's going in, but it is still satisfying and it's still effective. Some effects, like the voice, could have been done better, but still pretty solid overall. The 7th best one is Fitting Punishment, and this one focuses on a funeral director and this boy he starts to raise, and this is just a very nasty one. Like, you know, you've got this guy who is just abusing this kid, and it's really effective in that. My issue is I kind of like the ending where the shoes come alive, but when the boy's body comes back too, I just thought it was a little too much. If it had a bit more restraint, I feel like it could have been done better, but still pretty decent. The 6th best one is Till Death, and I just love stories with love portions, and you know how this is going to go, but it's still done effectively. It's pretty goofy, pretty gross, but I also kind of dug it, so that's why it's number 6. The 5th best one is Television Terror, and this is just this silly haunted house storyline, which I found to be fun. You know, it's goofy, it's pure nonsense, and, you know, the fact that the main guy, you know, is a douche and things don't go well for him, there's some tragic irony, some cruel irony present, but my big issue here is it's just not scary. It's still fun, I still like it, but it's not scary, and you know, yeah, it's still definitely good. Okay, but from this point on, I actually love the rest of the episodes. So the 4th best one is My Brother's Keeper, and it focuses on a pair of like Siamese twins. You know, these two guys literally stuck together, and one of them falls in love, and I just really liked the story being told. I actually thought it was really funny, the performances were great, but it is really psychologically effective. You know, like, are they going to split up? Should they split up? You know, like in the way one brother tries to torment the other, I found it to be really well done. My big issue though comes from the decision for them not to split. Like when the girl wants to be with one of them, she's like, "Oh no, you don't need to split." I don't know, I just found that to be weird. But anyways, still a great episode. My third favorite episode actually reminds me of my brother's keeper, and it's For Crying Out Loud. And this just focuses on this one dude with an inner voice, and he's getting driven to insanity. And this episode is just so crazy and so over the top and so slapsticky, and it's absolutely hilarious. The main dudes from Pirates of the Caribbean, Lee Ehrenberg, his performance here, best performance of the show so far. He just fully delivered, and it was just I had a great time with this one. My second favorite episode is Three's a Crowd, and this is the episode where the one dude is going on a trip with his wife and his childhood best friend, and he starts to suspect they might be an affair taking place. And I do kind of like this one because, you know, we all overthink at times. We can all be driven to insanity by where our mind goes, and I liked how that is displayed here, and I just loved the ending. Like, he snaps, he kills them both, and then, surprise, it turns out she's actually pregnant, and so he didn't just kill her, but he also killed his unborn child. Like, that is a dark ending, and it made me feel sick to my stomach. This one could have been number one, but I do feel like in the misdirection, it's a little too much. You know, like, they're trying to sell you on the fact that these two characters are having an affair so badly to the point where it kind of leaves reality. So, yes, still a fantastic episode, though. But my favorite episode is The Ventriloquist Dummy, which is... You shouldn't be surprised if you know me. I just loved the story being told. I really love stories that involve ventriloquist dummies. I actually feel like we should get more movies with them just because there's something so unsettling there. But good story being told, good character work, good performances, pretty funny. I was enjoying it. It was like a solid 7 out of 10. But the big reveal at the end just bumped it up. It is so crazy and so weird and just made the entire episode infinitely better in a way that I wasn't expecting. Kind of reminds me of James Wan's Malignant, but that reveal of his hand and oh my goodness, it's so good. It's so good. I really loved this episode, and it's probably my favorite episode of the show so far. So that's my ranking of Tales from the Crypt Season 2. What's your ranking? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin out.